Hey, it is now beginning of December in Portland, Oregon, and I really don't know if this is going to work, but I've had these green onions. These are essentially you know, the scallions. They're actually with red tips. They're an Italian variety. I get them from Botanical Interest. I like them. But you know, they're like your typical kind of green onion. It grows to the size of a pencil and then they're ready to harvest kind of thing. Yeah, it's, you know, we're in the 40s on a daily basis here in Portland, and then, you know, maybe down into the 30s, mid 30s or so at night. So I don't know if transplanting these now is actually a great idea or not, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I'm gonna be planting new onions in seed trays in our new basement nursery under lights soon anyway. So yeah, want to kind of free up the tray and kind of clean up some other stuff that I have just hanging around here. This was one of those things. So I thought, well, let's throw it in the ground and see what happens. So I'm gonna do that now. Now, one thing out here that I can say for sure is I'm pretty sure my friendly rabbit Jack, I've had this rabbit Jack who's kind of moved in and taken up residence around here. I think he lives under the shed. I actually don't even know that it's a he. But anyway, I see Jack once in a while. He's gotten pretty bold over time. I'm pretty sure he's out here eating my small veggies now. Up until now, I haven't seen any kind of evidence that he was eating anything over here. But now I'm starting to see kale plants and plants where the top is like chopped off as if I came out with scissors and chopped it off. And at first I even thought, well, maybe I did do that and forgot in one area. But when I started to see it in other areas, I know for sure I didn't do that across the entire veggie garden here, back here. So yeah, Jack's becoming a problem. But I don't know. I guess I'll figure out how to do coverings or whatever. There's actually a powder that's supposed to be organically certified, and it's made up of like dried blood of some animal or whatever, and some other kind of ingredient. And so I've kind of sprinkled it around here to see if that kind of keeps Jack away. But yeah, it'll be curious to see as we go into the spring. I might, you know, if this is how he behaves, I would lose all my seedlings when I put them out here. So I'm gonna have to put them under cover, which is something I've thought about doing anyway in order to kind of get things going out here sooner, is kind of get the fleece row covers and kind of put them out, or not necessarily even fleece, but just those ones that they look like fleece to me because they're white, but I don't think they're fleece per se. But get those row covers that you come out and you put on to keep things warm and keep animals and stuff off them. I might actually have to do that this spring. I've never done that before. It's either that or figure out how to chase Jack away. But I mean, I kind of like Jack, so I don't necessarily want to chase him away, but yeah. All right, anyway, let me work on the onions here. Oh, what did I do with my gloves? Gosh dang it. Oh, there. I just put compost on this bed as well, so for the fall. So I think it'll be pretty easy to just dig in a hole for these little plugs with my fingers. I'll try that. If not, I'll whip out my knife for that. But I don't think I mean, this is pretty small, so I don't think I think my fingers should be fine for this. Yeah, yep, it's fine. Okay. Well, hey there. I am doing something you've seen me do before, and this will be on many videos to come, I'm sure, because there's a lot of compost to put on beds this late fall into the winter here. There's a guy one of the gardeners that I follow on YouTube, and I've read his book, and Charles Dowding I really like his approach to gardening. I try to mimic it as much as I can here with some variations kind of based on my own observations here. But, you know, he talks about green waste compost, which is the kind of stuff that I get, and that a lot of times it's not fully done when you get it. And so he says best practice is to put it out and then wait, you know, 3, 4, even 5 or 6 months before you're planting in it, or to just have it on hand and then maybe put it out 3 or 4 months later. And yeah, that's exactly how it's going to work here. So that's nice. I'm going to be right on the Charles Dowding plan in that regard, because, you know, we're at the beginning of December here. I'm still spreading my compost, but yeah, it'll be, you know, March, well, not even Marchish. It'll be like April, May before I'm putting anything into it at scale. So I think that timing should be quite right. And that's kind of an interesting, I would encourage you to go find Charles's YouTube channel, because he's much more knowledgeable than I am. But the part that, you know, kind of I went round and round on is, I had kind of subscribed to the thought process of using compost from other gardeners that I'd watched before. Another great one on YouTube, John Kohler, Growing Your Own Greens. I haven't watched him so much lately because he's filming out of Las Vegas, and the applicability of kind of some of what he's doing doesn't really relate to me, or I don't find it very relatable at this point compared to when I first started watching him, you know, a decade ago. But he's got, you know, just this total wealth of videos and knowledge in there. And I don't know if it's still the case, but he was, a decade ago when I started watching him, he was planting in compost as well. And then he turned me on to the idea of watching his videos, that is. I've never met John personally. I'd love to, he's an awesome guy, but I've never met him personally, but talk about him here like I have. But anyway, John turned me on to the idea of rock dust to mineralize, and I've done that and found good results from that as well. Somewhere in there, I kind of lost the faith on compost a little bit. Somewhere in there, I'd lost the faith on compost a little bit, thinking that that, you know, it just didn't have enough nutrients in it, and that to really grow, you still needed to fertilize, albeit an organic fertilizer, like a all-purpose organic fertilizer, which I'm still thinking I still might go ahead and do that this season. But in watching Charles and reading his material, I've come to realize a little bit more that I kind of was missing the point, that it's not that the compost itself is supposed to have ready available water soluble nutrients directly for your plants. Compost like this, as I'm putting it on the beds, it's feeding the soil, it's feeding the microorganisms. It is the microorganisms and their excrement, I guess. That's what's actually feeding your plants, right? So we're not really relying on, you know, the NPK sitting in this to feed the plant, right? And I think that's kind of the misunderstood piece of it, at least for me. You know, when I heard some people kind of pointing out that this didn't have enough nutrients really in it. It was good for tilth and structure, but it didn't really provide nutrients directly for plants. And I kind of took that to mean, oh, well, then I need to focus less on spreading compost and more on using fertilizer. And I kind of had that thought for the last year and a half or so, and then thinking about it more. That being said, even though I had that thought, I still spread compost just because for no other reason other than in my gardening here, I'm not as utilitarian as I am liking the look of things, and I just like the dark look of the compost, and you know, and it's what you see in nice gardens, and so mimicking what you see in other nice gardens, you know, it's kind of a very perhaps a superficial reason for doing things, but nevertheless, I've still been using compost regardless of that point. But what am I rambling about? Well, I guess what I'm getting at is I think that I now have, after kind of rewatching some of Charles's work and then reading more in depth of what he was saying, I now have a little more faith in compost being able to do the job if done correctly on its own without adding water soluble fertilizers, I think it's possible. You know, and certainly Charles has done all the work to show that it works for him. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, part of my rambling is the fact that just shoveling compost on here is nothing new and exciting in terms of stuff you've seen in my videos. Where I'm at here is I'm in the north garden, but this bed that I have here, this has kind of been my main showpiece flower bed. I'll have kind of tulips that are just kind of really running along here and really showing off when it gets to April. And I'll grow different kinds of flowers all throughout here to really kind of put the show on it. So anyway, that's this part of my day. On to the next part. Well, it's cold outside and it's getting kind of dark and I'm just getting tired. I mean, I really only, I really only did about a couple hours today. Yeah, I kind of feel that going on. Like in the summer, I'll spend 6 hours at a time, you know, outside in the garden and not feel exhausted. But yeah, just 2.5 hours in the cold and everything, I'm just kind of worn down and thinking, yeah, I'm not super excited about going back out. But here's what I did get while I was out there. So we've got some of the, what they call dino kale. We've got some of that. I mean, they're not huge leaves, but it's kind of good to be able to have a harvest like that in December here in Portland. And then actually kind of a salad mix here, which since I was harvesting in low light, I'm not sure the quality of it yet, but I'll see when I take it inside to wash off. But I've got various kinds of leaves. I've got a small amount of kind of the Bibb lettuce and romaine lettuce, and then I've got some beets and chard greens that I'm able to pull. I even have some spinach and yeah, a lot of arugula. So I mean, I think it should make a pretty good salad mix. I'll wash it off and hopefully my people, my family will want to partake. All right, we'll see you guys later.